Why are PhiBrows, contour and tattoo pigments the most expensive pigments available? I'm Branko Babic, the founder of PhiAcademy, the largest permanent makeup academy in the world and creator of Pure Pigments. Why are PhiBrows, contour and tattoo pigments the most expensive pigments available? What makes Phi pigments different from everything else available on the market? The short version is their purity. But in order for us to understand the main difference in the manufacturing process, we need to learn about the pigment mixing process, that is, the contents of the pigments that we use in microblading, permanent makeup, or tattooing procedures. The tattoo, permanent makeup, or microblading industry is a small branch of the beauty industry. Because of its size, it relies on much bigger industries, such as the pharmaceutical industry. The first three groups of products found in all pigments are products that come from pharmaceuticals. Binders, solvents, and adhesives are extremely pure substances that come from the pharma industry. However, pigments are somewhat problematic. There isn't a single factory in the world that manufactures high-purity pigments used in the tattoo, permanent makeup, or microblading industry. Pigments come from a very unpure industry, the chemical industry. The same factories manufacture pigments used to paint vehicles, to dye textiles, in various printing processes, but also pigments used in the tattoo, permanent makeup, and microblading industry. To be able to handle pigments easier, various additives, i.e. fillers, are added which give them weight, or serve to even out the color of the pigment. These can be stone dust, cotton fibers, synthetic fibers, kaolin, mineral fibers, various silicates, calcium carbonate, quartz powder, or glass powder. In addition to these, other fillers are added that are prone to attracting mildew, which is why it is common to find various fungicides in pigments, as well which prevent pigments from attracting mildew. All the fillers I mentioned are the reason why there is a high concentration of heavy metals found in these raw materials. Raw pigments, that is. This is how pigment arrives in the factory, in these sacks. Now, let's open them up. When raw pigments arrive at the factory so they can undergo the purification process, what we need to do first is identify what kinds of fillers and other impurities are present. Once we've tested the pigments and know what impurities are inside, we begin the purification process in this machine up here. After the purification process, this is what we end up with. This is what pigment looks like before purification, and this is what it looks like after. And we can see here all of the fillers that were in the pigment. PhiAcademy is the only pigment manufacturing factory in the world that uses purification technology to purify pigments. There are over 700 different types of impure fillers that may be found in pigment. These are just some of them that we managed to extract from the pigment through the process of purification. All of these manufacturing processes that you've seen today take place in clean rooms with clean air. It takes between 10 to 12 minutes to completely filter all the unclean air out of each space and fill it with new, clean air. What you see here is our ventilation and air purification or filtration system. All of the air extracted from outside passes through these fillers and clean air is then pumped into these spaces, which is why we call them clean rooms. Listen to this paradox. Scientists agree that from a technical aspect, getting a tattoo is almost the same as having a vaccine, for the simple reason that in both cases, substances are inserted into the body. They don't just remain under the skin. This pigment will penetrate into your bloodstream, your lymph nodes, and may even end up in the liver or kidneys. This is why it is very important that the final product is of exceptional high purity. This is maybe a good place for us to learn the difference between pigment manufacturers and pigment brand names on the market. Pigment manufacturers have factories such as this one, where in the cleanest possible conditions they grind, purify, and fill pigment. On the other hand, brands purchase ready mixes, mostly from China, and pack them into small bottles, usually from a backyard shed. There's a big difference. And there's your answer to the question of why PhiBrows pigments are the most expensive pigments available. One of these 5-gram tubes is worth €30 on the market. One of these barrels contain over 100 kilograms of color and is worth over €700,000 on the market. This video has not shown the entire manufacturing process for the purpose of protecting trade secrets. One interesting thing about this factory is that I contacted the owner of Von Berg Pharma for the first time over 10 years ago. He refused to manufacture pigment for us the first time, a second time, a third time. It was only on the 5th try that he agreed to hear me out. He accepted my request to manufacture pigments for Phi after the 5th try. A few years later, Phi became his strongest buyer. And here we are, almost 10 years later. This entire factory and Von Berg farm is owned by PhiAcademy.